Hey, greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Finding Contentment. This is your host and executive director for the American Institute of Stress. It's Will Heckman. Thanks for joining us again today. And I'd like to ask if you're listening to this podcast today, go to stress.org. Please subscribe to our magazines and you'll get some great information that is absolutely free and a lot of resources if you go to stress.org. And if you're watching us today, I have to do please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, makes us grow and gets us our message out. Today, we're going to be looking into stress relief too. Some of you might consider a little different. It's the practice of sound healing and sound bathing which that is being deeply immersed in sound and vibrations, and it can release a lot of stuck emotions. It can reduce pain and stress and anxiety. It also can ignite some of your creativity and activate your own body's healing. And today's episode is all about that healing power of sound. And we're diving into how each frequency and sound therapies can help shift the body out of fight or flight mode and into a calmer, more balanced state. And it comes from ancient practices to modern research. And we'll look at how sound and vibration can influence the nervous system. It can reduce stress, as I said, and support emotional well-being. And whether it's through music or tuning forks or sound baths, and we'll explore how these tools can be integrated into your daily life. And if you've ever felt the power of a calming song or wondered how sound can do more than just entertain, this episode's for you. So let's get into it. And to find out more about this interesting topic, I invited Deena Rahill. Deena is a certified sound healing practitioner and conscious life coach and New World health practitioner, passionate about helping others manage stress, anxiety, and those who are emotionally overwhelmed through the transformative power of sound. And she is trained with Sound Healing Academy and the Global Sound Institute, and is a member of both the Sound Healers Association and the Medical Sound Association. Deena also offers a safe, nurturing space for nervous system restoration, emotional release, and deep relaxation. Her sessions speak directly to the body's stress response, using vibrational medicine to guide clients from that fight or flight to a calm, clear, and cohesive state of being. She's also the founder of the Stewart Health and Healing in Florida, and Deena integrates red light therapy and genetic tools and mindful coaching into her practices. And she offers public sessions, private treatments, corporate wellness events, and of course, workshops, all focused on the belief that healing is an inside job. And the sound is the bridge between the body and soul. So please join me in welcoming our guest, Deena Rahill. Deena, thanks so much for being here. I'm looking forward to learning a lot about this topic.
Well, I'm so happy and grateful that you invited me to come to your podcast. I follow your statistics. I follow your newsletters. And that's what drew me to reach out to you, because I take a lot of the numbers of your research and bring it into my space and explain to people how, a lot of ailments come from stress.
Yeah. Yeah, as we were talking before the show, the latest statistics, and they vary depends who you ask, but 75% and up of doctor visits are caused by stress, and an issue that is caused by stress. You don't want your stress to get to a diagnosable problem like anxiety and depression and things. But let's talk about your field, because I don't know a lot about it. Now, I think a lot of people are interested to talk about what is sound therapy and how it differs from, say, simply listening to music to relax. Could you give us a little insight into that and maybe tell us how you got started?
Of course, absolutely. Well, how I began is because I attended sound healing. Someone invited me, I went, and I felt something different. Not only was it appealing to my ears, my body was taking in all these different sounds. And I kept going, going. I didn't mind if anybody wasn't coming with me. I didn't know then what was happening. I just knew it felt good. I didn't know on a scientific, on a physical, on an emotional. I just knew I was attracted to it and I loved it. So when I moved to Stewart, um, finished my career in food and beverage director in many areas, and the last one was with senior living. I took 6 months of thinking what's next. And I knew in my heart I was pulled in creating workshops and lectures and wellness so that people can discover these modalities. I did kick it off here at this Elliott Museum in Stewart with a sound bath. Not even knowing again the science, but I knew it felt good and I wanted to share that with people. So we had instantaneously 50 people with a wait list, and I hired the practitioners at the time. I hired 2, 3 practitioners. They worked out. And there was a missing, Will. There was a missing of the power I wanted to feel. Of course, the participants didn't know the difference. They just were there. But I had experienced something more powerful and I needed to deliver it. So my soul said, it's in you, Deena. Stop looking on the outside. You have it. So that's when I was drawn to taking courses. And just so you know, the classes we take do not teach us how to play these instruments. If I have a specific device, yes, you go through a training, but I play intuitively. I play from the heart. I play from the soul, and will describe exactly, of course, what is, how it feels in my space. But when you're in the presence of this power, it's not just what do you say? It's not just hearing it; it's really feeling it. It moves you.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a musical performance.
Correct. It's
Okay.
not a music performance. There are musicians that do play sound healing, and yes, it's going to sound more like a song because they're following notes. However, I know my notes, but I don't follow notes. I follow instincts. I follow the vibration. I follow what I know is going to feel good next. And
Okay.
that's drawn by the people in the space. So yes, it's
So,
not a performance. Mhm.
so you're talking about how it makes you feel, and it's not necessarily a musical performance, but explain to me how sound and frequency affects our nervous system. I know it does, but I'm not quite sure how it does,
Sure.
especially in relationship to the stress and people who are in fight or flight response. They're in that moment where fight, flight, or freeze. How does the sound frequency affect the nervous system?
Well, they are specific frequency and vibration that will guide the brainwave, the heartbeat, the nervous system, the emotional body. So what happens, what I always like to keep it simple for the understanding of the public. I like to compare it to a body massage without the hands. So as these instruments vibrate and oscillate, they flow to you and through you like hands would. And they shake your cells. So they vibrate and oscillate with every cell of your body. Think of just being there, allowing like waves in your body. You can't stop the waves of the water. You cannot stop the waves of sound. So they, like I said, everything vibrates. We all have our own frequency. So when you're out of alignment, think about this. Sound moves matter. If you put a quarter on the table, you keep slapping next to it, the quarter is going to fall onto the floor. So as I keep playing these sounds, it can't but start moving things in you. You see, the frequency will match the frequency of the ailment the person has. When you crank it up a notch, it's going to go harder and it's going to push and it wants to heal itself. So many people that are in the space with casts or bandages or even a wrap on the knee, I ask them to loosen it up. A cast, we really can't, but I do warn the person, you might feel it tighten up. And if it hurts you too much, you will have to step out because you can't break the cast to let the flow. So that's basically how I like to explain it, that the body is like it's having a massage with frequency and vibration. At the end of it, you feel that same massage flow. So what it does on the level of stress, first of all, we come in our sympathetic nervous system. That means the one that we are in right now, communicating. When the fight and flight is consistent, you're in that state all day long. Okay, so you have a hard time digesting, you can't think straight. And what happens is that you're out of alignment. When you come into a space like this, you see the sounds and train the brain waves to go from the gamma, beta, down to the theta and delta. Effortlessly will. You don't have to know how to meditate. So that's give you an idea. So it downshifts the nervous system effortlessly. You have no say. You allow yourself to lay back and just be with it, and the sounds will take you on the journey.
So when you say you lay back and just be with it, so basically what you're doing is you're experiencing the therapist like you
Yes.
using certain tools or techniques and
Yes.
things like that. So because I see the gong behind you, and it's funny because I was just watching a video, and it has nothing to do with stress. It has nothing to do with sound. It actually, this is going to sound funny, but it actually had to do with woodworking because I'm a woodworker, and it was on how to create a Native American flute.
Wonderful.
And he started playing this Native American flute, and just the sound made me sit back, and it was so relaxing to hear it. Now, that's why I asked before, is it a musical instrument or something like that? But it wasn't necessarily, it wasn't playing a song. It was just the tone. It was just, it was just that I was hearing this thing, and it was, I don't know how to put it. It was just so relaxing. I wasn't listening to Yanni, which I have done. And those of you who don't know who Yanni is, you look him up. His songs are great. It's very relaxing. But it was just a tone.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, since you talked about healing, how do you use vibrations or tones and things like that in healing? You just said people are coming with raps and things like that. Are they in pain? Because pain is one of the biggest stressors in our life. It certainly has been one of mine. Does it help with healing, like injuries and things like that?
Yes. So that's a great question. So again, so when I say you're laid back, most people lay on a yoga mat, and I offer zero gravity chairs for your comfort, so you don't have to lay on a yoga mat. So when you come into this space, again, like a body massage, right? When the person starts massaging you, right? But with the sounds, they create this binaural beat. I can play a couple of instruments for you to hear a little bit well before the end. So the singing bowls are called singing bowls because they create the binaural beat. So they are made out of crystal, 98% crystal quartz and sand, and they sing. That means that you're going to hear one note, a second note that becomes a one note. So you have two notes that become one. So again, when you have 25 notes that become one, your right hemisphere and your left hemisphere come together and say, I give up. I can't hear this anymore. I don't even know where it's coming from. And you go into coherence. So your nervous system will go from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic without effort. You can peak, you think it's a performance, you can peak, you can look, but even if you stayed awake and you said, well, I'm going to watch her the whole time, the sounds will push you to allow, because again, it entrains the brain. The music entertains. It does not go at the level of the cells. It doesn't go at the level of the nervous system. So sound will entrain you to downshift the nervous system and go from the fight and flight to the rest, restore, renew, refresh, digest. And like I tell everyone, that is where your body does the healing. I'm the conduit. I'm the conductor. I bring forth that frequency, energy, and vibration that your body's calling in this space. If I have 23 people, it's never the same, by the way. You can come into a sound healing tonight and tomorrow, and I won't remember what I played tonight. Tomorrow will be very different. And again, depending on your relationship to sound, to music, to what's going on in your life, obviously, this will affect you differently. 23 people, 23 journey. Why?
Okay.
Because everybody's different.
All right. So I'm looking behind you and I'm seeing the bowls and I'm seeing. Give us a quick tour of your
Quick
studio.
tour. Okay. So let me move this away here. So it's a little bit when you want to see the entrance, everything. Here we go.
Oh, just some of the tools and some of the experience that people will have.
Okay. So when you enter, of course, my intention is for you to feel welcome. So I always begin by choosing the colors, the feel of the room, depending on the theme. Here we go. So this is my logo. We had the full moon there yesterday because we had the full moon for a few days, which influences us. And then if I turn this way, you're going to see some of these zero gravity chairs and all the beautiful art on the wall are 5 local artists that brought in their gifts in this space. And if you want me to play a specific sound, I can do that for you too. But if you.
Well, I think it would take up too much time, but I think people need to come to the studio. What it looks to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like a mini vacation. And for people that are, especially for people that have chronic stress or workplace stress that you're feeling burnt out, could maybe come there and get some relief from that.
It's
Just
on every level. Again, some people come in with deep sadness. I can't sleep. I can never relax. That's a big
yeah.
one. I can never relax. I
We
can't
certainly hear that.
meditate. And of course, the pains in their bodies. And again, just benefiting from being in this space. A lot of times people say, I got off my migraine medication, Deena. I've been coming here for 7 weeks. My chiropractor said that my back is more supple, that my legs are not so tight. Another person will say, who bought my CD, he says, I no longer take medication to sleep anymore. I mean, that's the
Yeah,
feedback
I
that
was
I'm
going to ask you about
receiving.
that.
Yes.
Sleep
And
is a big problem.
it's a
And
big problem.
we get that. That's like on the top three of of the
Yes.
complaints I get for people
Yes.
who are under stress is
Yes.
sleeping. And I've heard of people using white noise and things like that.
Yes.
So I understand that sound certainly can help people to sleep is where we do all our healing and all our is through sleep and through that and through REM and through all of that. So I was going to ask you about that. So I'm glad to hear
Yes.
that sound can help you sleep. Tell me a little bit about the science. I know you talked a little bit about the science research and
Again, again, the science is everybody coming together and agreeing on, let's say, the root chakra helps you with your lower back. It's not in cement. However, we know there's been research about binaural beats. There's been research about water. Dr. Emoto, a Japanese researcher, who his work on sound and words and intention with the water would change the structure of the water. So when you're in this space here, and I say to people, the more ailments you have, if you've had surgery or you're overusing your fingers for computer, tennis, you're going to feel those areas tingle. You're going to feel maybe a little warm, a little cold, and maybe even more pain than when you walked in. Because again, the body always wants to align itself, it wants to feel good. So it's going to take that frequency from the space and bring it to your body. I mean, really, I can tell you, Will, what I'm saying, but when you experience that,
right.
you get it. It's like I can't tell a woman who's never had a child what childbirth feels like. I mean, I
Right.
can tell them the science behind this. I've got 250 hours of all the chakra balancing, the sacred geometry. But for them, it's unnecessary to understand. So the basic understanding is, I said, your body has its own frequency, its own vibration. We're targeted by radio, TV, emails, the stress at work, coming to see me in traffic. They come in there, they're like huffing and puffing. And I go, well, you're at the right place. You don't need to come in like that. And the fact that I can't sleep, I can never shut down. And My favorite is when men are dragged in with their wives. They get the best journey. They're so
Yeah.
innocent. They're so innocent and naive, and they're just, okay, go ahead. Boom, gone. They come back and they go, I'm still processing. And that's the word I get a lot because, again, the person that can't sleep sleeps right in my space. And they're a little purring.
Right.
And the person that cannot meditate says, I don't know where I went. Because again, sound, vibration will do it for you. This is why they put you under bells. They put you in caves to heal you back in the days. The didgeridoo is, what you blow the didgeridoo on someone's body, it's going to open up that area.
So,
It's
it makes sense. I'll tell you, I
yes,
saw something you were talking about the water being affected by sound and
yes,
vibration. And I've actually seen video of that on the profound effects that water can have in different music and
yes,
different tones and things like that. Makes sense. We are made of mostly water. So if
correct.
it can create such a visual, you know, uh, uh, effect on water that you can see, it's obvious. It makes sense that it would have an effect on us. Do me a favor, walk me through, I hate to say a typical sound therapy, but somebody comes to you, one
Yes,
of our viewers or listeners, and they say, teachers right now, it's the end of the school year, they're burnt. If they're not, they're crispy. And they come to you and you say, I need some help. I'm just so chronically stressed out. I would like to do a session with you. What does
yes.
that session look like?
Okay. As a group or by herself?
By themselves.
By themselves. So by themselves, they have a choice. Of course, they're on a zero gravity chair. And because I have over 200 instruments, I will put my instruments around their bodies. It's going to be a little bit different. It won't be this setup, it would be centered on them. And again, Will, I'm intuitive. I can feel, but just overall stress, you just need to feel the sounds. So I definitely would tone the colors. I mean, everything would be dark and I would just start playing. And again, I don't know where I would begin. I just know that the crystal bowls are very good for balancing all the energy centers. They're very
Right.
pure tones. And then you have the tuning forks. You can work on the body or around the body. So they're very subtle and they help to restore the flow. And then again, it's like, I would say energetic acupuncture. I don't specialize in the tuning forks on the body. I play them out of the body. I just like everything like real powerful around you, and then it goes to nothing. And then we go back into a crescendo and everything's playing, and you're like, your mind's going, what's going on? Forget about it. I'm in theta. I'm between the conscious and the dream state, and that's where your body, shifts in that
So
area.
the passive, the person that comes to you, they're
Yes,
not playing anything. You are.
I am. They're
And
just
they're
flowing.
they
Yes.
would be like, I would choose the zero gravity chairs because I love them, and just let it awash their body in
And the
sound
word
vibration.
wash is exactly wash. You see, it's like the waves. You wash the body with sound. And I know I'm doing the movement, but I just want you to hear. I'm right next to.
Didn't pick it up as well as it would be in person, so I wouldn't even try. If you go there in person, it's probably you can feel it a lot more than just a us playing it on the air.
Yes, you
But
do.
I know I've had actually somebody um use a tuning fork on me.
Yes.
It sounds crazy, but they wanted to diagnose. I had a little bit of a hearing loss in one of my ears, and they wanted to diagnose, and they used it on me. And I thought it was very strange until they did it. So
And
I know this isn't like going to your doctor and them giving you an aspirin. This is something much more on a personal nature that people need to try and need to feel it and need to experience it.
And that person, yeah, I would play no less than an hour because it
Yeah.
takes that
Okay.
time. You know, the first 10, 15 minutes, you're still analyzing a little bit. You might be even judging what's this sound. You're talking to yourself. And then there's a shift that happens where you just surrender and you want to go no less than an hour because you really want to take them into that deep journey. And the gongs, they provide peeling of the layers, if meaning that one day, wow, some people might feel emotional, they feel like crying and you don't even know why, and just the
Yeah.
body just releases, and the way the tears fall in this space here, they just fall from your eyes, like no thought, no nothing about it, there's no sadness, it's just your
Just
eyes
release.
well, and then the drops fall off just like shower, and there's no wrong or right, and people start coughing, maybe sneezing a little bit more, because again, remember, you're releasing. We are always tight. We're tight, the shoulders, the necks, the this, the that. And then some people say, oh, my arm, oh my God, it feels so good, I can rotate it now. Sometimes it's permanent and sometimes it's not, because they have a lifestyle that causes these problems. And same thing with the stress. You can come in here once a week, once a week, once a week, but you have to also make other changes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you have to control, like, the animals have an instinct. We have a conscious choice to change the way we think and the way we do things. I mean, we can tell people to come here all day long. If they don't do it, they won't know. So you
I,
have to do the work.
I've
Yes.
always told people the one thing you should never do about your stress is nothing. You need to do something. In fact, I was going to ask you because you mentioned it in passing that people will play your CDs and stuff, but I was going to ask you, is there something when they're not with you, can
Yes.
people do at home
Yes.
without special equipment, or do they need something that
No.
should they search out something that helps them, like that flute I heard?
Well,
I want to get one now.
yes, no. And what I like to do, I have them in my purse. They're like puck sizes speaker, like little round speakers.
Mhm.
They're called Now, NOW, for New Origin Wave or just sound meditation. However, they play 3-minute increments, and it's specially toned by binaural beats. And within 3, 6, 9, or 12 minutes, you shift. You shift.
Yeah.
The longest I've used them on me or around me is 12 minutes. I mean, that's how powerful these little sound speakers are. And they're called Now. I don't sell them. I don't make a dime about on them, but I introduce them to people that are very, very stressed and need a little more at home. YouTube, you can listen to guided meditation, a beautiful, soft Australian voice. UK, they have these beautiful, gentle voices that take you on the journey. And again, it could be without any voices, and then you have different. What it's really what feels good for you.
Right. Right. You need to search it out. If you're listening to this and you're thinking, oh, it sounds a little out there. Yeah, let me ask you this. Have you felt really bad after somebody honked their horn at you? So you have felt negative, emotions and reactions to sound and vibrations. Have what makes you think you can't feel positive things out of sound and
Right.
vibrations? I myself have. I mean, we've all felt the benefits of listening to a calming song, but how many of us that little device you talked, what was it called? The Now?
Now,
Imagine if you're at work and your boss is giving you a hard time, or the kids in your class are giving you a hard time, and you finally have 10 minutes to yourself and you just put that on your desk and you could take a deep breath and calm down. How beneficial is that? And if you need to find things like that to help you with your stress. You know,
correct.
I
It's not.
let me ask you this,
Sure.
Deena, because I am really interested in sound. I guess my introduction to sound, this is going to sound very strange to those of you that don't know, but when I was a kid, I worked in the music business in what's called a mastering lab. Excuse me, and I walked into an engineer's studio and they were mastering Gregorian chants, or what monks do. And I was like taken aback by it, just the feeling of that space. So I've been introduced to it from a very young age, and I think sounds are very important. They can play a very important part in our lives, in our mental health and our well-being. I
It's,
wanted to ask you this.
Mhm.
You've actually done this for quite a while now, and you've actually helped a lot of people. Tell me a change that you saw in a client that was so profound that it sticks out in your brain, and or that helped them over time and change their stress levels, and maybe it was even life changing. You tell me. I don't know.
Yes, well, there's multiple ones that really come to mind as you're asking me. I had a young gentleman who his mother told him, go seek sound therapy. He found me. He says, I'm so depressed for whatever reason. Snapped out of it. One
Wow.
session. One session. Because again, sound moves matter. Your body will align itself. Again, the more ailments you have, it might take a little longer. Other people, boom. They'll call me, they'll text me, they send me notes, they send me reviews, and they said, I finally had a great night's sleep. I haven't slept in 6 months. That's mind blowing. Another, Michael calls me. He says, guess what? My copper bracelet started shaking at 7 p.m. and I did your session at 2 p.m. and at 7 p.m. he never needed to use his copper bracelet. Another gentleman, of course, he has 200 screws in his leg. Pain will always be there. But he says, when I come to your session, I'm without pain medication for 2 weeks in a row. So, you're like moved by people when they tell you these things. Another person, her oncologist came in because he said, I believe that, stress is one of the causes of cancer and they're not healing well. And he would send his patients here and they would be like, wow, they've had a moment of break away from all that they think they were. You understand? You really reach that space of you're not that disease. You're not the mother today. You're no one but you. Your little divine self is in the space here to take in and receive. So you're not the caretaker. You're not the mother, the father. You're no one in no time. And you get to go there if you allow it. So again, like I said, pain medication, they're off completely. One is his sleep medication. I just received the email 3 days ago. He says, when's your next recording? I want to buy it. You get results. And again, I ask for one word when they come back into their bodies to share with one word their experience. And it's eclectic, it's ascending, it's calming, it's grounding, it's loving. And it comes from an authentic place in me. I know that. I know that I was chosen like an artist who draws. I draw with my instruments. I know what, the canopy is. You're the canvas, and I'm bringing in that paint, and you're creating your own vibration with this, your own world. Some people go to, one lady, she said, I saw all my animals that passed away, and she was crying and she was just, because we love animals, right? So I get this regularly. And
Wow.
when the session is over, you're laid back like a body massage. You feel that shift. You feel the difference between when you walked in and now. There's a shift. And you cannot just, hey, I'm up, I'm leaving. So I have to give them the time to come back. And it takes a while. Nobody wants to leave, because it feels good. Who
Yeah.
wants to leave a space that feels good?
I
No.
understand. Yeah, sure. So I know you're in Stewart, Florida, but do you have a website that people can
Yes,
visit?
it is
Well, tell us
sound.
what it is. I'll put it on the bottom. Tell
Sure.
us what it is.
It's simply soundvibration.net.
Okay.
Yes, I have a full schedule. I do Tuesdays and Sundays at 2 p.m., Wednesday and Saturday at 6 p.m., separate from private groups, private corporate groups, and then
Awesome.
individuals. And speaking about a great TED Talks, because it's fun, it's a great conversation, but we've been jumping from one end to another. And
It's hard to cover it all.
I know, I love it. I love the way it's flowing, So Dr. Anthony Holland, who is a professor and director of music at the Skidmore College in Saratoga, his team has proven live on a TED Talk. You can Google it, you can look at it, between 100,000 hertz and 300,000 hertz, live on stage, they shattered cancer of leukemia, the pancreatic cancer. Of
Wow.
course, my instruments don't reach that level of intensity, but if you think you're out of sync and you keep putting yourself back into, I call it the mind and body shop, because it's like a tune up. You're tuning up the vehicle that's carrying your soul through this world in a space that's here for you to just take on the energy, the vibration, just like a guitar. You're tuning up a guitar, a little piano. Your body needs that tune up. We know that when the red light, which is the pain, it's time to change the tire, rotate the tires or the oil or the filter. But when we get our light, our GPS light comes up, we're like ignoring it. Why are you waiting till you're into, dragging on the floor? And also grief is very difficult, and you come up for air in this space.
It's funny to mention grief because the American Institute of Stress, just did a webinar with Tim Ringgold, who is a sound therapist, who's a
Yes.
musical therapist, and he did it about grief and used that flute I was talking about and
Yes.
plays guitars and other
Yes.
sounds, and he talks about the benefits of it. So it was awesome. And our webinars are free to our members, so go to stress.org, you'll just see the webinar about grief and how sound helped in that particular case. Deena, last question, because we're going to run out of time and I don't want to do that. But I ask all our guests this. So, besides your sound therapy, what does Deena do for stress management?
Yes. The
Well, yeah.
beach, grounding the feet in the sand or the dirt. We have a grounding mat at home that we sleep on. We put it under the sheets. Breathing, humming, humming. I learned during COVID because I was annoyed constantly. I was just learning the humming effect. Your voice is your number one healing tool. Anytime you feel, even when you're driving and you're aggravated with the track, you start humming, it releases the vagus nerve, which is the longest nerve that starts from the neck and down the chest, the stomach, and into your stomach. So it's the longest nerve that, when your stomach tightens, it tells your body, okay, run, fly, fight. It's time to go. So by humming, that vibration relaxes. So I also hum. I hum. And of course, I listen to my own recordings because I don't remember them. And it's fun to listen, but be with them. And of course, YouTube. I really like to follow guided meditations and the breathing technique that I teach about the HeartMath Institute when I teach about stress. Breathe in 6, hold 3, and just exhale for 9. I mean, those are my numbers. It could be 444, 666, whatever feels right. And if you can do this for about 3 minutes, it's going to last up to 6 hours. Okay.
Well, I got to tell you, I agree with you. I learned,
Yeah.
since I've been doing this and at stress.org, we give breathing techniques because we agree with it. It's always with you. It's free. Humming is a great technique to help you sleep.
Yes.
So I think you're right on, and I'm glad you do all things. And yeah, I agree with you. The beach is really nice.
The beach is an incomplete frequency. That's why when you leave the beach, you're like, wow, what happened? You didn't do anything. The sounds of the waves, the wind and the sand, all that together just brings you back in the harmony of nature. And in my sound space, there's beyond the gong and the crystal bowls, because again, when I travel or I see things that fit If it feels good for me, I know it's going to feel good for others. I've got rain sticks, ocean drums, secret instruments that no one knows about, because you get to discover that vibration in here. And the perception is different each time. Someone could be scared, someone hears whales. But again, it's up to you to do the work. It's one of the modalities that can help you balance your mind, your spirit, your energy field without effort. You don't have to think. You don't have to count. You don't have to listen. You just need to allow to feel the vibrations. And
Thank
I'd
you,
be
Dina. I appreciate that. And I think everybody that's listening should really look into using sound to help you relieve
at least
stress.
try it once. And if it doesn't interest, like I tell people, if you have no interest, don't come. You'll ruin it for the others. I mean, it's either a hit or miss. Will when I open the doors at the museum, it's either, oh wow, I want to feel this, or I don't. I'm out. I'm out. But it's all good. It's all perfect the way it is.
Well, I think it's a good experience to have. So thank you so much for sharing all this with us. We obviously can't cover it all
No,
in a
but maybe we
small
can have.
podcast.
We should have a second from your experience to coming to me.
I, that's it is a always a possibility.
Yeah,
Certainly,
yeah,
I love going to things like that, and I do
wonderful.
all kinds of things to
Go on.
to alleviate stress, because stress is become an epidemic in this country, and I think if we take a really hard look at our lives, it's one of the things that we can learn to control through manage. We need stress in our lives. We need that you stress to make us productive, to make us creative, to make us happy. But when the negative stress becomes chronic, we need people like Deena to help
Thank you.
us alleviate that. So I want to thank you again, Deena, for joining us today, and for all the awareness that you bring to people, and for all the issues that we talked about today. And that's going to do it for us. This has been your host, Will Heckman. I want to thank you all for joining us today. Don't forget, please follow this podcast. Go to the American Institute of Stress, stress.org. And remember, as we've said before, just as stress is different for everyone, there is no one tool or management strategy or technique that's right for everyone. So that means you need to join us next time as we explore more stress management strategies and insights. And we'll see you then. Thank you.